Police arson squads are investigating the ruins of a New Orleans bar where a fire last night killed 29 persons and injured 15 others. Bruce Hall reports.
On Sunday, June 24th, 1973, at 7:56 p.m., a buzzer goes off from the downstairs entrance. Bartender Buddy Rasmussen, an Air Force veteran, asks Luther Boggs to answer the door, assuming it was the cab driver picking up the fare. Boggs opened the door to find the staircase engulfed in flames, while the smell of lighter fluid and smoke filled the air. It's deliberately set on the stairway of the main entrance, blocking the normal exit route from the lounge. There are only two ways out of the second story: the main entrance stairway and a rear door behind the stage in the theater, which led out to a roof of a neighboring building. Exit signs have been added to every main entrance, but the one on the back door had been removed from the frame, so it being an exit was not immediately obvious. And on top of that, the door was blocked by stage scenery. Buddy jumped into action and led a group of roughly 20 patrons out the rooftop exit. From there, they could access a neighboring roof and climb down to the ground below. Other patrons attempt to escape through the massive floor-to-ceiling windows, even though the glass was protected by 14-inch wide safety bars to prevent dancers from crashing through them and plummeting to the ground below. At the time of the fire, a total of 65 people were in the building. People ran around in confusion. Those who were near the windows opened them and squeezed out between the metal bars. Some of those who reached the windows first were able to crawl out and slide down drain pipes to the sidewalk below. Several people managed to squeeze through the safety bars, including Luther Boggs. As Boggs climbed down to the ground floor, his body burned from the flames, covering 50% of his body in third-degree burns. Upon reaching the ground, Boggs' body was extinguished by the owner of a neighboring bar. Unfortunately, Luther Boggs passed away on July 10th from his wounds. Reverend Bill Arson of the Metropolitan Community Church, a pro-LGBT Protestant church, removed an air conditioning unit from the bottom of one of the floor-to-ceiling windows, but the upper glass panel fell, landing on top of him, pinning him to the window pane, halfway outside to safety. His charred body would remain in the window for hours. The Metropolitan Community Church assistant pastor George Mitch Mitchell managed to escape, but bravely returned in an attempt to rescue his partner Louis Horace Broussard. Both lost their life to the fire, their remains found clinging to each other during their final moments. Several occupants had jumped from the windows or were lying injured on the street. Other lounge patrons were trapped in the second-story bar since the fire had spread through the area and they were beyond the reach of help. The fire was brought under control within 15 minutes of the initial alarm. The speed of the initial fire development is of interest. The alarm was received at 7:55 and the fire department was dispatched at 7:56. The first units arrived at 7:58 and the bar was fully engulfed, and those who survived had already escaped the inferno. The exposure to the bar and the lounge was immediate when the entrance door was opened. It's believed that the door remained open, or at least partially open, when the patron opened it and discovered the fire. Nearly all of the heat, fire, and combustion gases from the stairway vented into the second story. The time that occupants had to react to the fire threat was very brief, and the bartender's immediate and positive action in directing patrons through the rear door is credited with saving approximately 20 lives. Survivors described the frustration of trying to persuade more people to move toward the rear door instead of sitting or standing where they were. Panic resulted when those who had stayed behind ran for the windows, their bodies found stacked in front of the only means to escape. Investigations conducted by the Louisiana State Fire Marshal's Office and New Orleans Fire Department indicate that the fire was intentionally set on the first few steps of the entrance stairway. However, details of how the fire was set was not available. The official investigation failed to yield any convictions. The only suspect in the attack was Roger Dale Nunez, who had been ejected from the bar earlier in the evening after fighting with another customer. Police attempted to question Nunez shortly after, but he was hospitalized with a broken jaw and could not respond. When questioned later, the police records show he did not appear nervous. Nunez had a witness who claimed that he had been in and out of the bar during the 10-20 minutes before the fire and that he had seen nobody enter or leave the building. Because police observed that the witness was stressed, they dismissed the witness as a liar. Nunez was diagnosed with conversion hysteria in the 1970s, which is a diagnostic category used in some psychiatric classification systems. It's sometimes applied to patients who present with neurological symptoms such as numbness, blindness, paralysis, or fits, which are not consistent with a well-established organic cause. It is thought that these symptoms arise in response to stressful situations affecting a patient's mental health or an ongoing mental health condition such as depression. Because of this, he had visited numerous psychiatric clinics. He was released from a treatment facility in the year before the fire, and after his arrest, Nunez escaped from psychiatric custody and was never picked up again by police despite frequent appearances in the French quarters. A friend later told investigators that Nunez confessed on at least 4 occasions to starting the fire. He told a friend he squirted the bottom steps with lighter fluid, he bought at a local Walgreens and tossed a match in. He did not realize, he claimed, that the whole place would go up in flames. Nunez killed himself in November of 1974. In 1980, the state's fire marshal office, lacking leads, closed the case. Many churches refused to hold funerals for the dead. Reverend William P. Richardson of St. George Church agreed to hold a small prayer service for the victims on June 25th. Approximately 80 people attended the event, and the next day, Iverson B. Noland, the Bishop of New Orleans, rebuked Richardson for hosting the service. Noland received more than 100 complaints from parishioners concerning the service, and Richardson's mailbox filled with hate mail. Soon after, 2 additional memorial services were held on July 1st, headed by Louisiana's Methodist Bishop Finis Crutchfield and led by MCC founder Reverend Troy Perry, who came from Los Angeles to participate. Several families did not step forward to claim the bodies of the deceased, and a few anonymous individuals stepped forward and paid for 3 unknown men's burials, and they were buried with another victim identified as Ferris LeBlanc in a mass grave at Holt Cemetery. Because of the subject matter of this video being about LGBT people, I just want to remind everyone that as we continue to fight for our rights, we cannot let governments take them away. Voting is essential to maintaining our rights and ensuring that both current and future generations can be themselves without fear of discrimination. Remember, being who you are is a right and not a privilege. If you learned anything or liked the content, please like and comment. It gets my videos shared with more people and helps the channel grow. And also subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of Our Dark Timeline.